we have your weekend Apple news. Welcome back to the channel. So it's the weekend, and what do we do on the weekends? We go through the Apple news with you, about 20 or 25 different stories. First though, I have a beer, at least I show you what I'm drinking. I'm not affiliated with them. You guys have a coffee, a cappuccino. It's the weekend, right? You got to relax. Then we're going to go through about 20 or 25 different Apple related stories, kind of have some fun with them. I take a cynical approach on them a lot of times, show you some sales of different products and stuff like that. So without further ado, let's get into the Apple news and some products too. All right, so for starters, what do I have today? And keep in mind that I'm not affiliated with these companies. I'm just having some fun on the weekends. I actually have a beer called Beer for Lightweights, all right? Some of my good friends gave this to me, and you can see how good those friends are. Anyways, if you want like a light beer, I think it's like 2.3% alcohol. So I'm just taking it easy right on the weekend. And it's a good, refreshing, light beer. Tastes a little bit like water. It's like from Off Color Brewing. But I guess sometimes you just want something light. I know the non-alcoholic beer is growing, so this is kind of in between there. Anyways, let's get into the Apple news. Let's go. All right, so we're going to start off with some sales first. As you know, in the news, Amazon's Prime sales are coming up next week. These are kind of pre-Prime sales, and I want to show you a couple of them to begin the kind of the video with. So let's look at the first one over here. $319 right now. This is the Apple iPad 10th generation A14 chip. You can see it right here. I have one sitting right here. I have the lovely kind of gold color there, and I love the thing. So $319. It used to be like $430 or $440 last year. Now it usually sells for about $350, but $319 is one of the best prices. I've seen 9% off. For some reason though, the gold color, look at that, $329. They actually made it more expensive. Maybe I'm driving some sales here. But anyways, the blue one, that's the cheapest one, $319 if you want to pick that up. All right, the next one over here in the list that I have. Now I always tell people, make sure you need this before you buy it, because this iPad over here does everything I need, and I'm a pretty big user, right? But I don't draw and stuff. Here's the Apple iPad Pro 11-inch. This is going to be the M4. This is going to be the 512 gigabyte version, so it's going to have added, increased storage for sure. Right now it's 7% off, so it's usually $1,200. It's on sale right now for $1,114 right there. So not a terrible sale, obviously. You're not going to get a ton off because they're pretty new. The 11-inch also, but you get the additional storage, which is actually really nice, right? So that's not a bad deal there either. Let's keep moving down the list here. This one's a really small one. I know some people are they have to have Apple products. They don't trust alternative chargers or anything like that. So right here, if you want this dual 35-watt dual USB-C port compact power adapter made by Apple, it's got the two ports. You can see it right there. So obviously this is the one that kind of ships. It's shipped with some of the, I guess, some of the computers and stuff. You got the option of this one or a different kind of charger. But if you want Apple only, 32% off right now. So it's a big sale. Usually about $59, only $39.99. So if you want two plugs instead of one, this is a good option for you. And then let's go to this last one here. This is one of the better, I guess, pre-Amazon Prime sales I saw right now. Right here, the Apple AirPods Max, all right? And they're wireless. Obviously, you know what they are. $398, 28% off right now. I think it's the first time they're under $400. Pretty amazing, right? Under $400. This is the black version. So $549 usually and $398 right now. And I'll have links to all this in the video description. All right, this next article is kind of interesting to me, and I predicted this, so I'm taking my victory lap right now. All right, I'm not too happy about it, but still. It says right here, where is this from? This is from Gizmodo. Apple Vision Pro US sales are all but dead, market analysts say. So obviously we kind of knew this, but I didn't know it was this bad. So I kind of went down here, right? And it says here, basically, the last reports from those keeping tabs on basically Apple says that AVP will have dropped basically off 75% by the end of August. So basically 75% of the sales have dropped off already on this. And if you scroll down here, I don't know if I believe this. It says the market analyst firm IDC told Bloomberg that Apple Vision Pro is yet to sell 100,000 units. Yet to sell 100,000 units? That can't be true, right? Anyways, you look at the date here, and the date is July 11, 2024. So if this article is accurate, that's pretty crazy. Now, I think, let me just go into this next article over here. Apple Vision Pro won't break 500K sales in 2024, even with international expansion. So these kind of are contradicting articles. One says under 100,000. This one says under 500,000. Either way, though, I mean, maybe they're just factoring in with international stuff and all that kind of stuff. But it's pretty eye-opening, right? Dropping 75%. Now, one of the things I wanted to kind of show you was these right here. And I'll show you quickly right here on the screen what these are. I can't say the name of them. It's Viter or Vitter or something like that. But it's basically the One XR glasses, and I have them sitting right here. You can see them on my face now. I just did a video, and I'm going to show you the video right here. Check out that video. I just did it 2 days ago, or a day ago. And these are the best, I think, AR glasses for a Mac right now. And in that video, what I did is I actually showed people exactly all the multiple screens you can have up in front of you, and they're incredible. You can also watch it for media and consumption and all that kind of stuff, and it's crystal clear. It's got micro OLED screens in it, 1080p for each eye, which makes it more than that, universal. But these glasses here, and I can't still say the name of it, but you guys get the idea, they're some of the best. So check out that video. I'm not getting a ton of views in that video, and it was one of my better videos. I did a whole bunch of tests. I was one of the only ones that actually tested to show you the screens. You can have them stacked all different ways in front of you, all off your MacBook. So it's a really cool glasses here, and they're only $459. So overall, this is one of the best deals out there right now. And if I could say the name, I would say it, but I just don't know how to pronounce it. So when you have glasses like this that cost 1/10 the Apple Vision Pro, you see why that's doing so bad. And then on top of it, take a look at this article from Mac Rumors. It says Apple CEO Tim Cook uses Vision Pro every day. So I guess this is how they're trying to combat that, right? Showing how Tim Cook uses it. It's pretty funny. Apple CEO Tim Cook uses the Apple Vision Pro every day, according to an interview he did with The Sun. I don't know if I believe that or not. So he says, and so the ability for me to get in the position I want to get in, including laying flat and putting the screen on the ceiling, is an incredible experience for me. He said he watched Ted Lasso season 3, and he also watches Apple TV content. So obviously, these things can do it for 1/10 the price, and they can do it just as well. I can also do a lot of productivity up on the wall as well. And he goes on to say, the Vision Pro experience is hard to explain, says Cook, who recommended that potential customers get the demo. He goes on to say he uses it every day for marketing reasons, but like I said, it's a tough sell right now. Even if it drops to $1,700 or whatever they're claiming, even if it's tethered, if it keeps at that price, it's still going to be the most expensive device. Devices like this are going to keep dropping in cost, and these things are beautiful. Trust me, try these out if you haven't really tried them. And they're really, really cool. I mean, I'm not going to use them every day. That's the problem, though. I'll use them a couple days a week at best, watching movies and doing some work and stuff when I'm traveling. But overall, I can't spend that much money on a device like that. I think that's the problem Apple's up against. All right, this next article is by Apple Insider, and it says right here, Apple Silicon Macs are staying in use longer than Intel Macs. And again, I told you guys this. We had an article about this a couple weeks or a couple months ago maybe. And after the M1s came out, Apple had a hard time selling Macs. Why? Because of this. Because Apple Silicon's staying it's in use a lot longer. So if you scroll onto this graph's by Consumer Intelligence Research Partners. You can see here. So this is 2024. This is 2020. But you can see in here, so 13% versus 19%. So people are switching out a lot less here in the beginning. You can see 13% versus 19% people are switching to a new computer in the first year. And then in the second 1 to 2 years, it's 19% versus 23%. And then basically in 2 to 3 years, it's 13% of people are switching from Apple Silicon to the next Apple Silicon versus from Intel Macs, it was 19%. So many, many more people that were using Intel Macs were switching a lot sooner in the cycle, and a lot less people were switching after 3 or 4 years. Here, everyone's waiting to this 3 or 4 year like mark over here, 56% versus 40%. So we're like 16, 17% difference there where people are holding on to the Macs longer, which means if you look at the graph, it totally tells you that that's really the percentage of Macs that they weren't selling, and that's where it kind of gets made up. They were just that good, right, when they came out initially. Now there's a lot more competition, especially with obviously Snapdragon and stuff. So I think this is all good news because now Apple's going to have to kind of get on its horse, giddy up, and get some better deals going, and maybe some more ports and stuff like that, right? Maybe OLEDs will come sooner. All this is good news for everybody. But this is the reason why there was a stagnation in sales with Apple products, because they were just too good, believe it or not. I hope you're all having a great weekend. As I drink my basically water at 2.3%. All right, here we go. Apple Insider, it says iPhone 16 fast charging could get a 40-watt boost, all right? But what does this actually mean? So down here it says Apple could make the iPhone 16 charge faster than ever by allowing the fall smartphone release to take power in up to 40 watts. So what does this mean? Like, what is the real world what does this mean in the real world use, right? So if you scroll on here, it says, for the iPhone 15 generation, which could only take in 20 watts, Apple says that the fast charge could achieve a charge of 50% in approximately 30 minutes. So it took 30 minutes to get 50% charge when it can take in 20 watts. Now it says, by being able to work with 40-watt adapter, the fast charge capabilities of an iPhone 16 could result in charging 50% in close to half that time, or 15 minutes. So think about a 50% charge in 15 minutes because it can take in now 40 watts. This rumor's pretty high here. Rumor score looks like it's very close to possible. Looks like it's coming possibly. So anyways, that would be really good news, obviously, if you want to get a fast charge in, I think, for everybody. All right, so we got another sale here on this kind of pre-Prime Day sales. And just if you're looking for kind of a really inexpensive but fairly good, it's an external enclosure, right? 10 gigabit per second external enclosure for your MacBook. This one's actually a little bit special. So if you look on Amazon here, it's $26.99 right now here. It's on sale. It's 25% off. And Acasis is actually the name of the company. They make a really good product here. I've used them for their Thunderbolt 4 enclosures, and they've worked really well. They perform really well. This one's been working good for me as well. But the claim to fame on this one for 26 bucks, because you can almost get these a little bit cheaper, right? This one's actually got a built-in fan. I'll show you some close-ups of it. So this fan can kick in, and when that fan kicks in, it keeps, this has to take NVMe drives, not SATA, but NVMe M.2 drives. So they get a little hotter, right? So this will help a little bit with the cooling. Now, it's not the most rugged. It's got kind of a glass top on it and stuff. But overall, if you're going to keep it on your desk like this, 26 bucks, not a bad deal. All right, so whenever Apple sends something out to you, it's kind of, you might want to take it serious, right? So here's an article by Apple Insider. It says, Apple sends iPhone hack warnings to more users in 98 countries. So Apple, I don't know if sending people these responses is the best idea when you hear what the problem is. But anyways, they're sending out these responses saying, hey, be careful of this attack or hack or whatever, iPhone hack. And a lot of people have to take note of this. So if you have an iPhone, listen here for a second. So we're going to go to the next article here. This is new cyber attack targets iPhone Apple IDs. Here's how to protect your data. This is from CBS News. So if I scroll down here, it says right in here, and I'll just read it, consumers are most likely to trust communications that appear to come from trusted brands like Apple, warned this company, which is owned by Broadcom. So the malicious SMS message basically appears to come from Apple and encourage people to click on a link to sign into their iCloud accounts. And then basically they call this, for example, it's a phishing text, could say Apple important request iCloud, and then says visit this link, and then basically asks for your Apple ID. Now the link you go to is going to look just like Apple's website. It's going to say in order to continue using this, you got to log in. So long story short is if you get any type of message on your iPhone requesting any information, you never follow the link. Never. Always read it, think if it's real or not, delete it, and then go in your own way. Go in the real way that you can go in. That'll always keep you safe. Never follow a link and put any information in. If you remember that, you'll stay safe at least that far. I mean, there's other things they'll get you on, but at least you'll be safe for that. All right, so the next one's not that important, but it looks like Apple's continuing to move forward. Plus, it gives you some ideas of their sales numbers. Here's Apple Insider. It says Apple is ramping up for the big iPhone 16 sales boost thanks to Apple Intelligence right here. So down here it says Apple is hoping for another great second half of 2024, and it's basically having expectations that the iPhone 16 shipments will be about 10% higher than its 2023 figures. So that's actually really cool, right? So they're moving forward. It says on July 1st, the report said that, long story short, is they asked for, let me see here, between 90 million and 100 million units that for the chip producer to make. And I guess last year it was between 80 and 90 million. So that's where they get the 10% from. But up to 100 million units they are asking for to develop the chips on these iPhones. Can you imagine how many they're going to sell these things? But it's only like a 10% difference, even though all the Apple Intelligence is coming out. But they call it kind of like a super cycle where it's going to be 10 or 20%, somewhere in that range higher than a normal year because of all the stuff coming with it. But are you going to buy a new iPhone? I mean, the problem is they've gotten so good now. I mean, I know there's Apple Intelligence coming, and that's probably the one kicker. But besides that, you just don't need to upgrade your phone. I mean, every 2 or 3 years, that's even at the very least, right? So I think, I don't know how this is going to work, but I do think they're going to sell more just because of Apple Intelligence. All right, so if you're a podcaster like me, which you probably aren't, right? Anyways, look I have a new arm sitting here. This is by Maono, and this is actually, the reason I wanted to show you is because look over here. This is one of these kind of pre-Prime sales. Right here, it's going to be 11% off. Usually 89 bucks, now $79.99. This is the Maono Microphone Arm, boom arm. So this thing I'm not going to do it because I'm actually talking on it, but it moves all directions and stuff. The cool thing with this thing is it actually connects to your desk over here. Now the problem I had with all other kind of arms like this is when they connect to your desk, they give you like a little clamp, and it's usually only that big. My desk is like that thick. So this one's actually super thick, and it fits perfectly on my desk. So I have it sitting right here. I got some good advertising for them right there. You can see it right there. Maybe my beer can's covering it up, but if not, it's sitting right there, right? Anyways, 79 bucks for an arm like this. It's made out of really, really, kind of high-grade metal and everything. So if you need something like this, maybe you do, maybe you don't, you should check it out. All right, cheers. These are the kind of articles that make me take a sip. I always say that, but here's another one. And this is another reason why you should probably think twice about AT&T. This is not coming from me. This article is from Apple Insider. It says every AT&T customer just had 6 months of their call logs stolen. I've had a lot of articles about AT&T getting things stolen from them. And it says right here, AT&T has just disclosed another old data breach with this one exposing nearly every customer's phone call and text message records for the date ranging for 6 months in 2022. So they're just telling you this now. It says, our investigation found that they downloaded data included basically phone call and text message records, nearly all of AT&T customers from May 1st, 2022 to October 31st, 2022, as well as January 2nd, 2023. These records identify other phone numbers that AT&T wireless numbers interacted with during the time, including AT&T landline home customers as well. So this is pretty amazing. So all of your records of who you called, who you texted, who texted you, who called you, even on your landlines for 6 months, every single customer, according to this article, says it's been breached or it's hacked into. It says more personal stuff like social security numbers and stuff haven't been, but still, what's next? Are they going to be listening to calls next? That's the kind of crazy. So you got to rethink, always check and call these companies, call them out on it, get free months. Ask them for a couple free months. I just did it with Comcast. Comcast had me down. We were down all the time, and I asked for a free month. The reason you have to do that with companies is because if they lose money, that's the only way they're going to fix this stuff. Then they're going to spend more money next time protecting you. But until you do that, until you make them feel a little bit of pain, then obviously you're not going to get anything for it, right? So this is what continues to happen, and this happens with everybody, I know, but still, AT&T, this is going to be another one that's pretty shocking here. All right, so this next article is actually pretty funny because I talked about this last week where Apple was going to be putting, Phil Schiller on the board of ChatGPT, sitting on the board basically of ChatGPT and OpenAI just to kind of oversee things because they were going to be using them, but he wasn't going to have voting rights, right? I talked about that last week. But from Apple Insider this week, it's changed. It says Apple probably isn't taking a seat on OpenAI's board after all. So it says down here, this is first of all, Microsoft has resigned its observer seat on ChatGPT basically, and Apple's expected to do the same. So it says the move by both Apple and Microsoft is believed to be related to scrutiny by global regulators. And partnership authorities in both the U.S. and European Union are reportedly examining OpenAI's partnership with Microsoft already, and then they're going to probably, obviously do Apple as well because they don't want these monopolies to form. So that quickly, these people are now pulling out. And it says a spokesperson for OpenAI said that instead of having observers on the board, the firm would host regular meetings with its partners. Those partners include Apple, Microsoft, and whatever. So even though they're not going to have them on the board, they're going to kind of have meetings, right? They're going to go to, get a late night drink or something and talk about it anyway. So they're going to kind of, skirt around those regulations and just not have it on paper that they're sitting on the board. So it's kind of shady, right? But anyways, I thought that was kind of funny because that just came out and now this is what happened. This next article is just kind of a really small one, but it's kind of interesting. Apple Insider, it says Google is finally adding a speedometer to Google Maps on the iPhone. So it says a half a decade after it introduced the features on Android, Google now plans to add both a speedometer and a speed limit detail on its Google Maps and iOS. So it's going to have the speed on it. So I don't know if this means when you're using it in CarPlay or something, it should be on there because I think it is on my Google. I got an Android. I use an Android thing in my car as well, so I think it's got it on there. So I think they're going to be adding it. Now, I don't know what else you would need this for. If you're sitting in the car looking at maps, you can see what the person next to you is driving. You can just look at the speedometer. Maybe it's for bikes or something. I don't know. It says in here that it's going to be classified as not always, don't use this. Use your car speedometer. Don't trust this. It's just kind of a secondary thing. So for all it's worth, I don't know what good it is if you can't trust it, but it does go on to say that. And anyways, I just thought it was interesting that it's coming finally to Apple, the Google Maps on Apple iPhones. So for all it's worth, you're going to see the speed of what you're moving at. The next one I have here is interesting to me because you can finally see kind of you can basically unveil the numbers that Apple are selling as far as computers. And I think that's pretty interesting. So over here from Apple Insider, it says Apple's Mac continues to outpace a recovering computer market, all right? So if you scroll down here, it says overall, the global PC market grew by 3.4% this year in quarter 2, 2024. So it's growing for a total of 62.8 million shipped units. Of those, 50 million were laptops and basically, 12.8 million were desktops. You can see there's a big difference between laptops and desktops, obviously, but so far that's 62.8 million in the quarter. But then we go down here, this kind of gives us an idea. Across both laptops and desktops, Apple came in fourth with shipments of 5.5 million. So 5.5 million for their laptops and desktops. For a quarter, that comes out to 22 million a year, right? So they're selling 22 million units a year. That's a lot, right? But they're in fifth place. It says it gave it a 9% market share. Lenovo was the best-selling vendor at 14.7 versus Apple's 5.5. And then it says HP shipped 13.7 instead of Apple's 5.5, and Dell shipped 10.1 million. And then it goes on to say that who took the highest growing of the year was Asus. They increased 17%, and they shipped 4.5 million units, just behind Apple. So long story short, Apple's about 9 or 10% of the total market share. So obviously a lot of people gang up against us. I have an Apple channel, so I'm only getting 10% of the views. Maybe I should go to PC or a Windows PC because I get more views, right? Anyways, I'm joking, right? But anyways, you get the idea. So overall, they're about 10% of the market. They sell about 22 million units of computers per year, roughly, based on those numbers. Maybe a little bit more because quarter four is they're going to sell more, right? Usually because of the holidays and stuff. So I'm guessing somewhere in that range. All right, this next one here, Apple Insider, it says TSMC gearing up for the iPhone 17 A19 chip production with a 2-nanometer test. So as you know, Apple keeps moving forward, and now we're looking at, obviously, the A19 chip. And it says Apple's chip partner is about to start trials on production of chips in the 2-nanometer fabrication process ahead of making the A19 chip for its iPhone 17. So the iPhone 16 is coming out this year. So this has to be ready about a year later. So around, August, October, somewhere in that range, 2025. And that's when it looks like it's coming out. So the 2-nanometer is coming soon. Like I said, it's going to go to 2-nanometer, I think, to 1.8 or 1.7 nanometer. And every couple of years, it's going to keep going down until, I guess, it's so small you can't even see it with a microscope. All right, we have another sale here. First, I need a little bit more water. All right, you probably always see creators with these hard drives, and you've probably seen these before. I'm going to show them to you in a second here. But overall, it's on sale right now. It's kind of the pre-Amazon sale. So over here, this is the Lacie Rugged Mini 2 terabyte external hard drive. And again, have you guys noticed these with the orange bumper? You see these, like you used to see these all the time. These are spinning drives. So these are not going to be SSD drives. These are good for like longer term storage and stuff like that, and they're super reliable. So here it is right now, 2 terabytes, $109 usually, $93.46 right now. So overall, it's a pretty good cost, right? And again, these are trusted. You can see here, it says 4.6 rating with 28,000 ratings here. 4.6 out of 5. So I've actually have a couple of these. They've worked really well. I've never lost data on them. So if you're looking for more of a long-term storage, 2 terabytes, it's going to be slower, like 150 megabytes per second. It's not for that really. It's just for longer-term storage and just archiving stuff off to. These are great, and you can drop them and stuff, and they'll bounce off the floor and be fine with that rubber, orange bumper. Pretty good product. All right, this next one from 9 to 5 Mac. I'm always interested in this just because I do what I do here. But take a look. It says Apple debuts new short film shot entirely on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Here it is. So if you want to see how good the iPhone 15 Pro Max camera is, you can go ahead and watch this little short film. It's called Shot on iPhone 15 Pro, the making of, I can't even say it. It's here. It's SURETE. Search for that. And it's on the Apple channel, actually. If you go to Apple's channel, it should be there on YouTube. And if I go ahead and play this, actually, I'm not going to play here. Let me go ahead and shut that down. Let me go ahead and over here and play it. If I can find it right here. Let's play it right here. All right, so you can see it playing. So, the reason I love to look at this stuff is I like to see how good is like an iPhone going to be if you wanted to shoot a movie or if you want to do what I'm doing. You want to film me doing what I'm doing right now. Is it good enough for that? Anyways, this goes on, and this is a really, really, really weird movie. I went on, and there's like fish heads fighting and stuff like that. I don't know what this is. I wouldn't even watch this, to tell you the truth. It looks like a crazy movie. Here's an example. The guy's holding a heart there and stuff. But if you like these kind of sci-fi type stuff, definitely check it out. But more for me, it's all about like how good is the iPhone in producing a movie. That's where the benefit of it. So if you want to see what that's all about using just a normal iPhone, check out this movie. All right, the next article is from Apple Insider. It says Apple Watch SE may switch to an all-plastic chassis to lower costs. Say that ain't so, right? Say it ain't so. So it says Apple has reported to have tested replacing a metal portion of the current Apple Watch SE case with rigid plastic to lower its cost. And why would they do such a thing with this, right? Isn't Apple supposed to be premium? There's a reason. It says this future Apple SE watch might switch to an all-plastic housing to cut costs, basically. The device retails for $249, some $50 higher than Samsung's similar low-cost smartwatch. So, Samsung's kind of taking on a lot of steam here, especially with their smartphones and stuff like that. So Apple might have to go to this more plastic design, and they want to kind of compete directly with them. Even though $50 doesn't sound like a lot, to people that can only spend the $200 or $250 or $200, it is a lot. So they're going to maybe lower that down with a really high-end plastic where most people won't notice it. And at the end of the day, you might get that. So I don't think it's the right thing because Apple should be more premium, but that's maybe what they're going to do to compete in that lower market. You guys tell me what you think. All All right, another one by Apple Insider. It says advanced Apple Watch health monitoring features are hitting some roadblocks. And we've heard about this before, but it says the long rumored blood pressure monitoring and sleep apnea features in the Apple Watch probably aren't coming to arrive on the Apple Watch 10. So I read through the article, and basically it's saying on the Apple Watch 10, people thought this was coming. Blood pressure would be great. Sleep apnea would be great. And but it's saying that it's probably not possible. This is a likely, very likely high rumor score as well. So I don't think this is coming. They said they've been testing it. It just does not meet their standards yet, especially with the blood pressure monitoring and stuff like that. They have to be very accurate, obviously, because otherwise there's going to be lawsuits and everything. Even if they can have a disclaimer, somebobody's going to think they're, if they make mistakes and stuff, it could be really bad. They got to test for people's skin and all this other stuff. Not only just the thickness of the skin to like the color of the skin, everything's going to be different on these things where your veins are. So it's basically a hard thing for them to do. They're trying as hard as they can. I think when it comes, if they can do it, it's going to be, it'll be amazing for people with high blood pressure, right? So we'll see how it happens, but I don't think it's coming in the iPhone, the iWatch, Apple Watch 10. All right, this next one, basically, it's by, I guess, iMore. I've never heard of this place before, but it says right here, 10 million people use iPhone Emulator Delta. Now it's coming to the iPad. So basically, if you're using the iPhone, Delta is an emulator. It plays older games and stuff like that. And I guess 10 million people have been using this. 10 million people. Think about that. It's huge. So, and now it's coming to the iPad. So iPad, like this one over here, you can emulate these great games on. But why would it be 10 million? Why does Delta have so many? What games does it actually what is it going to let you play? That's the big question here. So it says right here, now I know why. It says Nintendo Entertainment System, Super Nintendo Entertainment System, Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, Nintendo DS, Sega Genesis, Mega Drive. So out of the box, Delta offers compatibility with those to emulate those games. There you go. So a lot of these people are probably like in Japan and stuff like that, but I know people love those games. So overall, it's going to be cool to play them on your iPad. I'm not too much into emulators. I have a couple ones over there for my Atari 800. I got an Atari 800 emulator, which I might show you on the channel. It's really cool. It plays all the good 8-bit games. But I was just not in the right age, I guess, for Nintendo. I kind of was, but I just didn't get into it that much. I played Sega, I guess, a lot. I played Intellicast way back in the day, Atari 800. And then I guess I played, what else did I play? I got into Xbox and stuff, but I kind of missed that, that region. I don't know why, but I know people love it. It's probably the #1 thing out there for gaming. So 10 million people already, and now it's moving to the iPad. I can't get my things right today. Anyways, it's the end of the video. So cheers. We're done finally with the weekend Apple news. And I hope you guys like these videos. Like I said, we're going to make this into more of a live podcast eventually, hence this thing here. But overall, what I want to do with this video, I want to have people ask me questions. And like I said, I thought of a way to do it. So, and again, it's up to everyone. So it's free if you want. You can watch the show free. But if you want to send me a super chat, this will be eventually. And it could be anything you want. It could be $1 or whatever. It's going to help me keep the channel running. And then basically, you can ask a question. It has to be a question that's not going to be crazy, right? And then what I'll do then is on the next episode, I can kind of show the question and then give a good response to it, like at the end or the beginning of the video, so I can get some user questions in. And that'll be a good way to kind of obviously help me continue doing this, but also get people's questions. And, if you guys want to ask specific things, I can definitely go through them with you. So you guys tell me if that's a good idea. All right, we're going to wrap this up. And then until next week, I make these every week, but I do a whole bunch of videos during the week. Like I just did a review of these glasses over here. Check that out. And a whole bunch of other things I do during the week. But then on weekends, I do these Apple news stories. So sit back and relax, enjoy the weekend, and we'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.